Today we're starting in Chapter 4. Our lesson today is 4.1, Solving Equations Using Addition and Subtraction. There are some rules we're going to need to know for today's lesson. The very first thing you always want to do is identify the variable. Can you guys remind me, what is a variable?
A number, a letter.
It's a letter, okay? So when you see the Y or the X, you're going to identify it or figure out what's the variable. You'll always move the number that's keeping the variable from being alone with an inverse operation. Does anybody remember what the word inverse means? Opposite. Very good job. So here are some opposites. What is the opposite of addition? Subtraction. So what would the opposite of subtraction be? Addition. Very good job. Now what's the opposite of multiplication? And then vice versa, division would be multiplication. Very good. Now remember, we've talked about siblings and how you want your parents to be fair to you and your siblings. Same thing happens when we're doing math problems. What you do to one side, what's it say? What's it say, guys? You must do it to the other side. You've got to be fair. And let me have everyone go ahead and read me that last statement up there in red. Equations have one solution to the variable that makes it true. So we're going to be looking to see if we can find out what the solution is to each one of these problems. Instructions for number 1 ask us to solve the equation, and then we're going to go ahead and check our solution. So let's look at the rules we just talked about. What does Rule A tell us to do?
Identify the variable.
Identify the variable. Everybody look up here in problem A. What's my variable? X, okay? So I found my variable right here. Now it tells me to move the number that's not allowing the variable to be alone on the left side of our equal sign. Guys, what's not allowing X to be by itself? Minus 5, okay? Now it says we have to use an inverse operation. Remind me again, what does inverse mean? Opposite. So what is the opposite of minus 5?
Plus 5.
Plus 5. So we're going to go ahead and we're trying to get rid of that plus 5 so that this this X can be all by itself. Remember what I said. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So if I added 5 right here, then I also have to add 5 on the right of the equal sign. Remember, anything you see up here on my screen, you want to go ahead and put it into your notes. Now I want everybody to draw one big line across. We're going to do this like a big addition problem. What happens to a negative 5 plus 5?
It cancels out.
It cancels out. That basically means a 0. Now, as you can see, all that's left over here on the left side is a what? An X. Let's drop that down. Now I want you to bring your equal sign down. In order to make your work nice and neat, you're going to go ahead and drop it straight down underneath the other equal sign. Now we're going to do the work to the right of the equal sign. Negative 1 plus 5. Is that the same sign or different sign? Different sign. So same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take. Let's subtract those numbers and take the sign at the larger number. What do you get? Positive 4, because the 5 was bigger. So the correct answer is X equals 4. Now we're not finished because it says check your solution. I'm going to explain to you how to check a solution. Remember, neat work is huge, and I want your work to come out looking neat and organized so it helps you not become confused. So I want you to drop down your equal sign. In order to check a problem, here's what you do. You're going to take your original problem that we had up there and rewrite it down here. So I want you to go ahead and rewrite X minus 5 equals negative 1. At this point, did we learn what X equals?
No.
We did. Look at the box. What does X equal? 4. X equals 4. So instead of writing an X here, I'm going to erase it and I'm going to go ahead and put a 4 because we discovered what our solution was. We understood that X equals 4. Now let's go ahead and drop down the equal sign. Once again, you want all of your equal signs to be lined up so that your work looks nice and neat. So see how that's a straight line right there? Make sure your notes are straight lines too, okay? So next, let's go to the left side. What is 4 minus 5?
1. Negative 1.
Positive or negative 1?
Negative.
It is a negative 1 because you take the sign of the larger number. Now, is there any work I need to do on the right side of that the equal sign? No, so guess what I do to it? You just drop it down. Now let's look at this final thing. Does negative 1 equal negative 1? Yes, so you're going to give yourself a mini check mark, and that means it checked off and it is correct. Let's go ahead and do example B. First things first, identify the variable. Class, what's the variable? P. What is not allowing the variable to be alone? Negative 5. Look, remember, you're checking everything to the left of the equal sign. Negative 5 is not letting it be alone. Use an inverse operation. What's the opposite of minus 5? Plus 5. What you do to one side, you have to do it to the other side. Nikki, what happens to my negative 5 plus 5? It cancels out. Ayana, I am left with what on the left side? All right, very good job. All that's left is my variable, P. Drop down your equal sign. Remember, once again, you want to drop it right down below the other one. And now we're going to work on this right side, negative 2 plus 5. Harmony, what's negative 2 plus 5? Okay, positive 3. And that's your correct answer. Now remember, we are going to check it to see if it's correct. So in order to check it, you're going to rewrite the original problem. So start with your equal sign. Drop it down directly there. P minus 5 equals negative 2. Class, do we know what P is? Yes, what is it?
3.
It's 3. So erase the P and let's go ahead and fill it in with a 3. William, on the left side, remember I'm going to drop down my equal sign first. What's 3 minus 5?
3 minus 5 is 3. Wait, 3 minus 5 is negative 2.
Negative 2. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to drop down my negative 2. Class, does negative 2 equal negative 2? Yes, give yourself a mini check mark. That means it checked out. If for some reason this had been like a negative 5 and it said negative 5 equals negative 2, then you would know that's not correct, okay? But it checks out if it does equal each other. All right, we're going to move on to problem C. The difference here is now we're using a fraction, okay? Same steps. First things first, Haley, identify the variable. Y. Janet, what is not allowing the variable to be alone? Okay, the 3 halves, but also whenever you say that, bring that sign with it too. So plus 3 over 2. Charbel, what's the opposite of plus 3 over 2?
Negative 3 over 2.
Negative 3 over 2. And class, remember, what you do to one side, you must be fair and do it to the other side. So now we're going to go ahead and draw this. It's like a big addition or subtraction kind of problem. What happens right here, Sierra? Plus 3 halves minus 3 halves. It cancels out because a number and its opposite, whether it's a decimal, a fraction, or a regular number, a number and its opposite always equals 0. So we are going to get rid of that. That means this is gone. Nehemiah, what's left on the left of the equal sign? Only a Y. So drop that down. Drop down your equal sign directly underneath the other one. Now, let's go over here. When I'm adding and subtracting fractions, we have to have a common denominator. As you can see, it's already there. So now, do I have the same sign or a different sign? Different sign. So what's my rule? Different sign, subtract and take. Okay, so let's just figure out our sign first. Is it going to be positive or negative, class?
Negative.
Why is it negative?
Because 3 halves is bigger than 1.
You're right. This 3 halves is bigger than that 1 half. So we know it's going to be a negative. Now let's just go ahead and we know we're going to do 3 halves minus 1 half because we're subtracting and taking. What do you get when you do that, class? 2 over 2, or it does equal 1. Now, is that a positive or a negative one?
Negative.
It is a negative one. So your correct answer is y equals negative 1. We're not finished yet because we want to go ahead and check it. So first things first, drop down your equal sign. Now, because we are going to be adding and subtracting fractions, I want my y to be a fraction. What's the answer we came up with for y that was a fraction? Negative 2 over 2, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in instead of my 1. I've got negative 2 over 2. And then still, remember, we're doing this from our original problem up here, plus 3 halves. And what is that supposed to equal, class?
1 half.
1 half. Please make sure you are bringing down what the answer is right there. Okay, this is helping us to figure out if our solution is correct or not. All right, so drop down your equal sign. Let's start with this on the left-hand side. Same sign or different side? Different signs, subtract and take. What's 3 halves minus 2 halves? Positive 1/2. And then remember over here on this side, we're just dropping down whatever it is that we had up there. So we're going to drop down the half. Class, does 1/2 equal 1/2? Yes, give yourself a mini check mark because it did check out. All right, for problem D, decimal problems, you're still going to do the same exact idea. First off, identify the variable. Brody, what is it? W. What's not allowing W to be alone? Plus 13.2. How do I get rid of it, Brody? Use an inverse operation. What's the inverse operation of plus 13.2? Negative what? You are correct. Negative 13.2. Taylor, what I do to one side? You must be fair and do it to the other side. Okay? Alexis, help me out. What happens next?
Cross out the 13.2.
You are correct. I'm going to cross out the positive and negative 13.2. What am I left with on the left side? Just a W. Now we're going to go over here to the right side. Guys, same sign or different sign? Different sign. So what do I have to do? Subtract and take. Okay, take the bigger one, 13.2 minus 10.4. And what do you get, guys?
2.8.
Okay, and is that positive or negative 2.8? Why is it positive?
Because the bigger number is positive. They're both positive.
The bigger number is what? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Look at this right here, guys. Negative 13.2 is bigger than 10.4. Okay, so looking at that, guys, is it positive or negative? It is a negative. So your solution is negative 2.8. Who wants to help me with checking it? Nehemiah. First things first, everybody drop down your equal sign so it stays neat. Okay. What I'm doing, remember, you are rewriting that original problem up top. So we know what the W is now, so we're going to plug in what the W is. Negative 2.8. Brody, what else do I need to bring down?
13.2.
Plus 13.2 equals what? What's the original problem say?
10.4.
Okay, all you're doing is you're bringing down the whole original problem. Now we're going to work to see if that is correct or not. There's some work to do over here on the left-hand side. Same sign or different sign? Different sign. Subtract and take. So I want you to figure out what 13.2 minus 2.8 is.
4.
All right, 10.4. Is that positive or negative? That is positive because the 13.4 is bigger. Now drop down your equal sign. Remember this now, you're just dropping it down. Does 10.4 equal 10.4? Give yourself a mini check mark. A skydiving company has a profit of $750 this week. This profit is $900 more than the profit P last week. Which equation can be used to find P? All right, so we're going to kind of try to break this apart a little bit here. Okay, starting off, how much profit did they have, class?
$750.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and start out with $750. Equals. It says, here's why we know it's an equals, because we have, it says, the profit is. Remember how I talked to you earlier about math words? Is means equals. So as we're reading through the problem, that helps us to know that should be equals. The profit is $900 more than the profit P last week. So if I have these words right here, more than, what sign do you think that would be? Plus or minus? Plus, okay? So I know I'm going to be having plus there. Now, P stands for profit. So we're trying to figure out this profit, P, is $900 more than, right there, the profit P from last week. So the correct answer should be B. Javaria got it correct. Excellent job. All right, modeling real life. You have $512. So let's just go ahead and start right now and underline that. Sometimes it helps to underline and circle different things. All right, that's my first step. So let's just go ahead and write down, we've got $512.50. You earn some additional money. If you earn more money, should you add that or subtract that? Add it. So let's go ahead and do add. And what do we want to stand for our additional money? Which variable?
P. M.
Let's do M for money. Okay, so plus some kind of money. We don't know what it is yet. All right? Then you go out and you purchase. I want everybody to squiggle line this right here. Once again, it helps these big problems to kind of break it apart. You purchase something. Guys, if you purchase something with your money, do you get more, add more, or subtract it? You have to subtract it. So we know we're going to be subtracting it. When you went out, you bought a new cell phone. How much did you buy that cell phone for? Right there, it says $249.95. And now, how much do I have left, class?
You have 480.
All right, so my final amount, I'm going to say that I equal out. At the end of the day, I have $482.55 left. Now the question is asked, how much money did you earn shoveling snow? That means we are trying to figure out what this M is. So we're going to do this just like a normal problem. We can see right here, I can always drop down my equal sign. Is there any work that I need to do on that right side right there, class?
No.
Is there anything I need to do over there? No, it's plain, it's all alone. I'm just going to drop it down. Let's look to the left of my equal sign. Is there any work that I can do right now?
No.
There is something. What can I do?
You can move the 500.
I can subtract. Guys, look. Like terms. Do you remember like terms? These are the constants that are standing alone. And this right here, that's the variable that's all by itself. So what I need to do right now is figure out what $512.50 minus $249.95 is. Go ahead and figure that out right now on your own. Is there anyone who figured out what that is to the left? Javaria, what'd you get? $262.55. That's correct. Is there anything else still left on the left side that I need to bring down? Plus the M. Now we have a problem that looks a little bit more normal. Same rules apply. Identify the variable, guys. What is it? M. What is not allowing M to be by itself? $262.55. How do I get rid of that? You do the opposite. That's saying to add that, so what should I do to it, guys? Subtract it. What you do to one side, you have to be fair and do it to the other. All right, guys, on the left side, this right here is going to cancel out. You're left with plain old M, and what do you get as your answer?
220. 232. Oh.
Okay, so the correct answer is $220 is how much money you earned shoveling. All right, on the think, pair, share, I saw a lot of good work. The first thing you do is identify the variable, which is a C. You want to get it alone. Minus 12 is not letting it be alone, so you do the opposite, which is plus 12. And what you do to one side, you've got to do to the other. This cancels out, and you're left with C equals, and then over here, negative 4 plus 12 equals a positive 8. Now remember, it asks you to check your solution. So we're going to plug in 8 minus 12 equals negative 4. And as I work this over here, 8 minus 12 is negative 4, and negative 4 does equal negative 4. So it does check out. Now listen, something I was also looking for that time was how neat your equal signs were. Check to see if yours are all over the place. You want it to be nice, neat work, okay? Here we go. What's the opposite of plus 8.4? Minus 8.4, so we're going to subtract it from both sides. Remember, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. This cancels out, and you're left with K equals. Now, these are the same sign. Same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign. What do you get?
14.7.
Okay, a lot of you said 14.7, but you have to keep the sign, so it's negative 14.7. Now listen, for those of you who got that it was a positive, I want to show you something. Watch how this happens. If I bring this original problem down, and I were to plug in 14.7 plus 8.4 equals negative 6.3. Guys, let's add these together. When we add that together, what do we get? 14.7 plus 8.4. 14.7 plus 8.4. Okay, look. 23.1. Does 23.1 equal negative 6.3? Yes or no, class?
No.
No. So that tells you 14.7 could not be your answer. That is why we go back and double check. So at that point, you could see something went wrong, and then you will hopefully notice, oh, these are both negatives, so my answer should have been a negative. That's why we check, okay? If you check it and it doesn't work out, then you did something wrong. But now negative 14.7 plus 8.4 does equal negative 6.3, and now you can see it checks out. Explain if the equations m plus 3 equals negative 5 and m minus 4 equals negative 12 are equivalent. Guys, what's equivalent mean?
The same.
The same, equal, okay? So let's start with our first one. M plus 3 equals negative 5. Just the girls. How do I get m by itself?
You have to opposite.
Subtract 3. Let's do the opposite of plus 3. We're going to subtract 3. What does m equal? Same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign. What do you get? Negative 8. Next up, let's go ahead and take this one and see if that's the same answer. M minus 4 equals negative 12. How do I get m by itself?
You add 4.
You add 4 to both sides. This cancels out. Negative 12 plus 4. What is that?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. So the question is, explain if they are equivalent. What do you think, guys? Yes or no? Yes. Why are they equivalent?
Because they both have the answer.
They both equal
Negative 8.
negative 8. Tonight's homework is called a flipped classroom. What lesson is it over, class?
4.2.
4.2. I want you to look in your notes that I gave you today. What's the next section? 4.2. So tonight's homework is to go to my YouTube channel, search my name, Sarah Vorpal, and find the lesson 4.2. So tonight at home, you are doing a flipped classroom. That means you're listening to the lesson at home, and then tomorrow in class, we're flipping it, and we will be doing the assignment in class.